Hello my loyal companions, welcome back to the channel and to another episode of Rogue Revealed, the series where I take you through everything you need to know about Rogue Company. In today's video we're going to be looking at another map guide. We're almost rounded off this series and today we're going to be looking at Lockdown. If you do go on to enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel, but for now, let's get into it. Taking a look at the overview of Lockdown like we normally do, you have the defense spawning here on the left and the attack spawning here on the right. Both sides have this building located here and here, which is sort of like a raised building you can sit back on the edge of the map and is really good for sniping and long angles. The B site is located up here with an inside area and the A side is in this outside area over here. There's a bit of a distinction here between that inside and outside and you can play around them both differently depending on what side of the map you choose to go on. Generally though, it's your standard 3-lane system. You have a path going down through B, through the inside area, which is a little bit more close quarter combat and really good for utility. You have your area down mid, which is very open and plays around the tower. That was very distinctive for this map down in the middle, with the zip wires going from the different spawns. And then you have your path down A side, which is a bit more of a courtyard, really good for close quarter and utility, and then sort of gives you a little side passage to then open up onto the map. When you're playing on Lockdown, you're looking to utilise long range, looking to utilise smoke grenades and other forms of utility, but we'll go into that in a little bit more detail as this guide continues. Looking at the main areas of engagement, it's quite broad on this map. It's basically down the whole centre strip from the main site around B to the little funnel that goes to the garage door, then opening up into the larger area before moving on to A site. All of that has a lot of area for point of contention depending on what side of the map you're going for. Because that midsection is so open, there's a lot of fighting that goes on around every area of the map. There's a lot of cross shooting and a lot of areas to play around longer ranges and hold some angles. Looking at the main points of interest then, I've highlighted a few for you that I think are really good, starting with the main one, the big one, which is going to be right here in the center. The tower is the main focal point of this map. It has two zips that go onto it, one from either side of the spawn, and then a third zip, which is from the B side and is a completely vertical zip. And that tends to be the easiest one to travel across because you're less likely to get beamed off it due to the travel distance. There is forms of cover up here that you can play around, although it's not very good cover, and no matter where you stand, there is an angle that can see you and shoot you, so you have to be careful when you're playing around this. Situated right next to the tower though, close to the B side, is this garage door, which is an openable door like we see in Favelas, and is a really key area to play around. This door has great line of sight into the B site, or at least the approach to B site in the main sort of prison type cell area. One little tip I will give you here though is you can actually, from the top of the tower, if the door is open, roll straight off of it into the doorway, which I think is a really nice little area of movement and a bit of mobility that the enemies won't normally expect, and it helps you go from cover to cover really easily without getting yourself shot too much. Sending us all the way up to the top then, up here in the B site, is actually these two areas, these two bits of cover that are located around this point here, which I think are fantastic pieces of cover and have great line of sight onto different areas of the map coming into the B site. If you can control these two locations, you basically control B site, as they're really, really good, fantastic cover to look at multiple angles, and I really like them. I try and get these because I think they are power positions, and I kind of slept on as that. Taking us now down to A site, we're going to have a little look at this spot right here on A site, which is the two pieces of cover that are best to hold positions from. You're easily grenaded and utilitied out from here, but you can get a little bit of height and a little bit of peek as advantage by jumping up on these boxes and on this ledge to have some cheeky shots at the enemies as they approach. And then the last point I want to look at is this area right here. Now, I don't normally do this, but I want to highlight it here because it's a really good grenade spot for defenders to throw early on in the game to potentially get some picks on attackers rushing to A site. You'll see it demonstrated here in this preview, but it's a really, really good grenade spot if you can pull it off. You have to throw it pretty much immediately from the spawn because of the way just the people rush there, but you can get a few downs that way, and at the start of the game, that momentum can really accelerate for a quick round and a quick win for the defenders. Now, looking onto the best defending routes, there's a few different ways you can do this, but I think this is the best general setup to make sure you're watching every angle. You want some form of zone control to go up onto B with some other form of longer range rogue up here as well. I think for B site, you want to stick it with at least a 2-person squad and really stay together like a little unit. I think that works really well here. Just sit back, hold those angles. Remember, you can retreat from B back here and guard it from there, although it's not as good because of the different places you can plant the bomb. You really need to be kind of on the site more than anything. Then if you take a look down A side, I would recommend again having the other two people there, although you can have one sit a bit further back to this location just to watch down mid. They can, however, both rush down into this courtyard area and control it from here, with the zone control rogue holding the main straight down here, and the other rogue here with a bit of a longer range can look down onto the A site from this position. That generally can be a good strategy, but it sort of depends how you want to play around it. Now moving on to attacking A, really you want to be in a bit of a cluster for both of these attacks. You want to sort of not spread out too much, with the exception of potentially one flanker. I would say you want to be playing around either rushing through the courtyard area, where you have to be very good with your utility and gun skill, or you can play around the longer mid section that is a lot riskier, with a lot more angles open to get shot from. The enemies just won't tend to expect that as much. My general plan of attack though for A would be send your breacher and send some form of rogue to support them, going down here and trying to flush that out. At the same time, you want somebody probably with a bit of longer range sitting back just to watch the angles across mid, so that they don't get collapsed on from any rotating enemies, and a flanker being ready to either rush down that mid side with a good use of smoke grenade, or to go around B when the enemy are distracted and rotate through that way. I think having some sort of flank on this map is really good, as the enemies don't tend to expect it when the sort of main part of the fighting is going on. Now looking at attacking B, you really want to stack at least 3 people up into the actual B site itself, getting your breacher here, getting your longer range rogues here as well, just to hold the different angles. You want to be using your utility, you want to be flashing people out, you want to be throwing grenades in the different parts that they can be sitting behind, and just rush the site, get it down, and be really careful of where you place this bomb. There are a few cheeky angles, like right up in this corner here, or right on this edge here, where you can plant the bomb and guard it pretty safely by falling back into the site itself. I would also then recommend having somebody, either a longer range rogue or a flanker, to come here and just watch this door. This door is really annoying, particularly as you're starting your breach. If they get there and start taking shots, it's going to really slow you down. You'll probably get picked and you'll start to lose the round from that way. So if you have someone just there to guard it, win a 1v1, and then potentially activate a flank for themselves around the back, that's a really good plan and one I would recommend for you. So who are the best rogues for this map? Well, on attack, I'm actually going to put Dima. Of course, you know I love the breach. I think he is great breach onto the courtyard by A side, and great breach onto the B site itself as well. But I'm also going to put Anvil down here, because using his wall as an aggressive way to plant the bomb, either in the really open spot around A, or just somewhere on B, is a fantastic strategy for this map, particularly just given all the different angles. If you can get the cheeky bomb plants down, you can sit back and hold long angles of sight, which is really good on this map, and Anvil can help you utilize a safer bomb plant in a spot you might not already be able to do it for. For defensive rogues, I actually think specifically Trench is amazing, but paired with Dahlia, have that 2 combo to go down to B site or A site, because you're sticking in these 2s for defending, is a really, really good idea. Both of them can use a DMR. You can get the double nade and double smoke for Dahlia paired with him to get those cheeky grenade shots that I showed you, but also just to flush the enemies out in a different way or slow them down with a smoke grenade. And I think they both pair really well with the trophies for the anti-breach, the slow down different choke points. I think it's a really good combo and would recommend you giving it a go. But there are a lot of rogues that can actually just be useful in this map generally. Talon, of course, you've got the reveal, the amazing gun, and he's just a fantastic rogue overall with the flash and C4. Lancer for your flank potential. Phantom for the sniper potential, I think is really good on this map. It's worth getting the picks to slow the enemies down. Saint for the long range revives and long range weapons, and then Dallas as well, because that reveal can be really useful, and he has good long range weapons to support this map. Going then into the final tips that I want to give for you guys, make sure you're using your utility. I know I say it all the time, but specifically for this one, there's a lot of places that the enemies can hide behind walls. You want to be grenading them out, you want to be flashing them out, and if you're ever rotating through mid, or you're ever doing anything through mid, you know, any form of rotation or push, you should use smoke grenades. I know I've talked about it a lot, but use smoke grenades. They're so useful, and given the long angles of sight here, smoking to give yourself a little bit of extra room to move forward and not get shot is a phenomenal idea, and I would really, really recommend you doing it. Tip number 2 is going to be to try and get as much early information as possible. This can be done using any reveal system like Dallas, or can be just used by having one person sit in this tower for a little bit and seeing where the enemies are coming through out of their spawn. If you can land straight into that little area, this little building up here, and then you can look out of the windows to see where they're going, and I would definitely recommend that. Just get a bit of an idea of where the enemy is going. You can kind of plan an attack or a defense around that instead. Then my third tip for you is going to be really cautious of your flank. I've mentioned flanking in this map, particularly when you're going down B or A. You kind of tunnel vision on it for some reason. I find that just with this map, the way it is, they're quite like blocked off and there's a lot of cover going around, so you don't always watch your flank as best as you could. The enemies can get right behind you, they can rotate all the way behind you, and the routing of it can be a little bit difficult to understand. So I would recommend that you just always be careful of your flank. Either push really aggressively so that you're moving too fast for the flanker to actually get behind you in time, or have someone just watching your flank permanently, because I think that's a really good idea. And then my final tip for you is just to be really careful of the height on this map. This is one of the few maps that introduce a lot of height, mainly with the tower, but also the 2 rooms at the back spawns and the different platforms that are available at different areas of the map. Be really cautious of your height. When someone's up in that tower, they're really exposed. Split off, get 2 angles on them. That way one person can shoot them, they move to the other side, and then the other person can shoot them. Just get them down. Use your utility to get them down. It's a really vulnerable spot, but can be clutch if it's not punished correctly. So make sure you're being really aware of the height around this map. Okay then guys, that's going to take us to the end of the video, and if you did enjoy and you do love these map guides, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. You can also come catch me on twitch.tv/Radthar Gaming to see live game commentaries, guides, Q&As and tournaments. All the links you're going to need are in the description below, but for now guys, I hope you have a fantastic day, and remember, be loyal, be brave, be relentless, and I'll catch you in the next video.